Hey, Stat Rollers, Bill with RollStats. If you're into Shadowdark, Dark Sun, or the Al-Qadim setting, remember the Al-Qadim setting? I loved that setting. Or honestly, if you just like the idea of transporting your players into the heart of a vast and dangerous desert, including a hex crawl with deadly combat and brutal survival mechanics, then you're going to love this video. Today I'm diving into Shadowdark Cursed Scroll Zine 2 Red Sands. This is the second installment in the Shadowdark Cursed Scroll Zine series written by Kelsey Dion from the Arcane Library. This zine features new character classes, gameplay mechanics, new monsters, and a high-stakes adventure in a vast hostile desert known as the Djurum. But before we go any further, I have to throw out a huge spoiler warning. We're talking about the nitty-gritty details of Red Sands in this video. So if you want to experience it firsthand, everything the zine has to offer, maybe send your GM this way and instead come back after your first playthrough. Alright, if you're still here, let's sharpen our scimitars, mount up, and ride straight into the Red Sands. Red Sands is an immersive journey that challenges your players to survive in one of the harshest environments imaginable. The Djurum is basically Shadowdark's take on the Dark Sun setting, or Al-Qadim. It's a place where the sun blazes mercilessly during the day, the nights are bitterly cold, and the sands are as treacherous as the enemies that lurk within them. For, those players who are seeking a true test of their mettle, Red Sands provides the ultimate adventure for that. It contains a richly detailed setting, new character classes, new gameplay mechanics, new monstrous foes that haunt the dunes, and an epic adventure that awaits in the depths of a fallen Duergar mine. As with all of the Cursed Scroll zines, Red Sands integrates seamlessly with the Shadowdark core rules, and it offers both GMs and players fresh opportunities for exploration, for combat, and most of all for storytelling. But beyond the mechanics, Red Sands is an invitation to step into a world of ancient mysteries where every grain of sand tells a story, and really every shadow could conceal a deadly threat. So Red Sands offers players 3 new character classes to choose from, including the Desert Rider, the Pit Fighter, and the Ras Godai. Each of these 3 classes fits nicely into the desert theme, bringing something unique to the table, both in terms of mechanics and role-playing potential. First up, the Desert Rider. So, how to describe the Desert Rider? This class is all about speed, mounted combat, and battlefield control, right? So, whether you're a howling barbarian thundering across the sand, an elven scout on a silver camel, or a grizzled bandit on a warhorse, the Desert Rider thrives in open spaces. Mechanically, you gain a mount with this class. And that new mount, your new mount, is going to be either a horse or a camel. It's trained, it's fearless, and it levels up alongside you. And when mounted, you both get a bonus to your AC equal to half your level, rounded down. You also gain the charge trait, which allows you to unleash a charge attack 3 times per day while mounted. Basically, you can charge into combat, causing your melee attacks to deal double damage that round, which is pretty sweet, honestly. If you're looking for a fast, hit-and-run combatant, this class is perfect for you. Next up is the Pit Fighter. So this class, okay, picture this. Blood-soaked warriors circling each other in a roaring arena, scarred desert bandits dueling for the right to lead their gang, or brash tavern brawlers who never turn down a challenge. That, my friends, that's the Pit Fighter. Mechanically, you'll gain a few new traits that serve this class well. It really is a bruiser type character, a tank. And so some of these traits would include Flourish, which allows you to regain D6 hit points when you hit an enemy with a melee attack. So every time you hit someone in melee, you roll a D6 and you regain those hit points. You get the Implacable trait, which gives you advantage on con checks to resist injury, poison, or endure extreme environments, which you're going to, trust me, in the Djurum. You're in a desert, right? And then there's the Last Stand trait, which allows you to get up from dying with 1 hit point on a roll of an 18, 19, or 20 instead of just a nat 20. And then finally, Relentless. 3 times per day when you're reduced to 0 hit points, you can make a DC 18 con check. If you succeed, instead of dropping, you go to 1 hit point automatically. And it's also worth noting that your Implacable trait applies to this roll, so you're rolling at advantage, which, again, is super powerful. If you want to be equal parts Conan the Barbarian and Rocky Balboa, just sort of pure grit, pain, and perseverance, then this class is for you. And then finally, there's the Ras Godai. So the Ras Godai are black-clad assassins who train from childhood inside a hidden desert monastery. They gain their sorcerer's powers from a legendary black lotus flower that was given to them by a demon. So mechanically with this class, you gain a few new traits, including Assassinate, which allows you to deal double damage when you hit a surprise target. And then there's Smoke Step, which allows you to teleport to a near location you can see 3 times per day as a free action. I can't tell you how powerful that is. And then finally, Black Lotus. Every Ras Godai consumes a deadly lotus flower that unlocks special sorceress abilities like walking on water, paralyzing enemies, or vanishing from sight. I can't tell you how crazy powerful this class is. It's perfect for sneaky, high-risk players who want to vanish into thin air after a kill, or, the edgelord in your group, right? Like, they're going to love the Ras Godai. So in terms of new gameplay mechanics, pit fighting has been added in Red Sands. So during downtime, players can participate in pit fights to gain treasure, experience, and just fame, right? Rules and tables are available so players can bet, fight, and risk their lives for gold, status, and powerful rewards with a wide variety of foes. Ranging from just like your standard thugs and bandits to wyverns and hydras, right? Then, pairing really nicely with the pit fighting mechanics, new rules have been added for enduring wounds. So if a PC drops to 0 hit points and survives, they might suffer an enduring wound. That character must pass a DC 12 con check or roll on the new enduring wounds table for an immediate effect. I love this mechanic, and I use it as a core part of the Shadowdark rules. Now, when my players get wrecked in combat, they have a long-term reminder. Red Sands also adds new rules and a table addressing poisons. Players can use deadly toxins to cripple enemies, although so can foes, right? So tinctures, powders, oils, and gases, poisons come in all varieties and virilities, distilled from countless flowers, creatures, and fungi. They're almost always difficult to procure and definitely illegal to possess. And they offer danger to the user as well as the victim, right? There's always that power versus peril aspect in Shadowdark that I love so much. So anyone using poison, either player or NPC, must pass a DC 12 dex check while using them or poison themselves by mistake. And finally, rules and tables for mounts in Shadowdark have also been added. Mounts have stats, personalities, and even armor, and they include common, uncommon, and rare creatures. Any humanoid-type creature can ride most mounts, but rare ones require special training. Mounts have gear slots equal to 5 times their strength bonus, which is great, but remember a rider and their carried gear take up 10 of those slots. Your mount's speed replaces yours, and it can be pushed to travel extra hexes per day, but it risks exhaustion if it fails a con check. Most mounts can't attack while carrying a rider, but those at level 7 and above can make 1 attack per turn. But remember, your mount may spook when wounded, and that's going to require a morale check to keep them from bolting. And of course, your mounts need food and water. Warm-blooded mounts require daily rations, while camels and cold-blooded mounts eat weekly. If you're pressed, mounts can survive 3 extra days without water and 3 weeks without food, but they do take 1d8 unhealable damage per day if they exceed those limits. So Red Sands is filled with new monsters and adversaries that are tailored to the desert setting. Each monster is designed to challenge players in unique ways, forcing them to adapt their strategies to survive, including the Dust Devils, which are whirling elementals of sand and wind, capable of tearing through anything in their path. This creature is truly a force of nature, driven by the desert's fury and capable of inflicting some serious damage on those who cross its path. The Dust Devil's attacks are swift and devastating and can only be harmed by magical weapons, making it a truly formidable opponent in combat. Then there's the Dune Fiend. The Dune Fiend is a demonic creature that haunts the dunes of the Djurum, preying on, the weak and the vulnerable, right? So the Dune Fiend appears as a clay-like elf with a jagged mouth and no other facial features. And its howl can keep the players awake at night, gaining no benefit from rest, which is kind of a cool mechanic. Then finally there's the Scourge. The Scourge writhes and screams in constant pain. Its brass and lapis scales are choked with a sickly green patina. Blue lightning snaps and coils in the air around it, and thunderclouds follow wherever it flies. but no rain falls from the tormented skies. This is one of the most formidable enemies introduced in Red Sands. The Scourge, an ancient desert dragon corrupted by dark magic, is a truly terrifying foe, capable of unleashing devastating lightning attacks and taking out your entire party. So at the heart of the Red Sands lies the Djurum. It's a sprawling desert that serves as the primary setting for the adventures and challenges presented in this zine. As with the Gloaming in Cursed Scroll 1, the Djurum is not merely a backdrop for the action, it's a character in its own right. It's a living, breathing entity that shapes the experiences of those who dare to venture into its vast expanse. The Djurum is a massive shimmering desert where red mountains stand silent watch over wind-blown valleys and undulating sand dunes. Merchant caravans pick their way between fragile oases that dot the waste, hoping to miss the path of mountain bandits, a howling sandstorm, or the skyborne death of the Scourge, right? Here, Ifrit-haunted canyons hide the ancient monastery of the Ras Godai assassins, and priceless secrets lie buried, waiting for the winds to shift in their favor. Hell, travel itself is treacherous in the Djurum. Each day could bring sandstorms, bandits, deadly heat waves, or worse, right? Travel during the day is unsafe, so the GM is going to check for random encounters every 3 hours. And travel at night is risky, so the GM is going to check for encounters every 2 hours, and your visibility is reduced to near, right? If your players decide to travel in hot or hotter weather, they must consume an extra ration that day, and pushed mounts must also consume an extra ration. And sandstorms? They last 1d4 days, and if you're caught in one, travel is impossible, and visibility is 0. And remember, you're not out there in the Djurum alone. There are multiple factions to deal with. The Hawk Bandits, the Cyril Elves, the Hamad tribes, and the Ras Godai Monastery are all out there, all with their own rivalries and their own secrets. One of the most important aspects of running a Red Sands campaign is setting the tone. Red Sands is filled with themes of survival, conflict, and the harsh realities of life in the desert. So it's important for GMs to establish this tone early on, creating an environment where the characters are constantly confronted with the challenges of just surviving in the Djurum. Bottom line is this: if you're a fan of Dark Sun or you're a fan of the Al-Qadim setting, you're going to love the Djurum. It's a meticulously mapped hex crawl with each hex representing 6 miles of treacherous terrain. It's not just a tool for navigation, it's a vital component of the game. It encourages exploration and adding an element of unpredictability, making every journey across the Djurum a thrilling experience. Finally, as with all of the Cursed Scroll Zines, an adventure is included. The Fortress of the Burning Brothers is a 4th through 6th level adventure for Shadowdark. The Fortress of the Burning Brothers is a versatile adventure, including a brutal Duergar mine filled with suffering slaves, fiery salamander guards, and treacherous Rakshasa spies, and an epic final confrontation with 2 warring Afridi lords. It can be used as a standalone quest or integrated into your larger Shadowdark campaign. Its themes of power, betrayal, and sacrifice make it a compelling story that can add depth and complexity to your Shadowdark game. At the heart of this adventure are the Burning Brothers, 2 powerful Afridi lords who have taken control of a fallen Duergar mine, and they're locked in this bitter struggle for dominance. Malik the Cunning is thin as a whip and shrewd as a viper, wielding sorcery that even his tutors in the city of Brass feared to use. He's in charge of the rich mines and forge works beneath the Iron Fortress, as well as its Duergar slaves. But the slaves are actually his allies. They're fanatically loyal to him due to his clever use of enslaving magic. Gaspar the Fierce towers over his brother Malik, wielding his black-bladed scimitar with ferocity. He's in charge of the fortress itself and commands the militant salamanders who defend it. The salamanders have sworn an oath of allegiance to the Ifrit in exchange for elevated status in society. They're a cut above slaves and are ruthlessly loyal to those who guarantee their position, right? So the players are going to find themselves caught in the middle of this conflict, and they're going to have to decide which brother, if either, to support, right? Each brother offers different rewards and alliances, but siding with one is going to always inevitably make an enemy of the other. So for GMs, the adventure offers a wealth of material to work with. The Iron Fortress is a richly detailed setting, filled with opportunities for exploration, combat, and role-playing, and the conflict between the Burning Brothers provides a strong narrative backbone for the adventure, while the various factions within the mines offer opportunities for dynamic and evolving gameplay. Bottom line, The Fortress of the Burning Brothers is a standout adventure, offering a rich and immersive experience that challenges players both mechanically and narratively. It's a thrilling dungeon crawl, a story-driven quest, and a moral dilemma that will test your players' convictions. What's not to love? So, bottom line, right? Is Cursed Scroll 2 Red Sands worth picking up? Should you pick up this zine? That is a resounding yes. I honestly think that all of the zines in the Cursed Scroll series are worth picking up. Red Sands is definitely worth picking up. If you love Shadowdark, or you're a fan of the old Dark Sun or Al-Qadim settings, those brutal and deadly desert adventures, Cursed Scroll 2 Red Sands is an absolute must-buy. This zine offers a rich and detailed setting, new character classes, and a full-length adventure that's going to provide you and your players literally hours of thrilling gameplay. Red Sands is more than just a collection of new rules, new monsters, and a new adventure. It's an invitation to step into a world of ancient mysteries where every grain of sand tells a story and every shadow conceals a deadly threat. It's a journey into the heart of the desert where survival is never guaranteed and where the choices you make could mean the difference between life and death. But I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think of Red Sands. Do you own it? Have you played through The Fortress of the Burning Brothers? What did you think? Let me know. And hey, if you haven't even tried Shadowdark RPG yet, good news. You can grab the Shadowdark RPG Quick Start set for free at the Arcane Library. That way you can see what the hype is all about before diving in. I've dropped a link in the description for both the free Shadowdark RPG Quick Start set and Cursed Scroll 2 Red Sands at the Arcane Library. Okay. That's going to do it for today, Stat Rollers. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, subscribe for more TTRPG content. I've got quite a few reviews coming covering a wide variety of classic, OSR, and indie games and supplements. And remember to drop a comment letting me know what you thought of Cursed Scroll number 2 Red Sands. Let's talk about it. I really want to have a discussion. So until next time, keep your scimitars sharpened, your water skins full, and may the dice roll ever in your favor.